Hey there, and welcome to my first math online tutorial. Our last unit was on fractions. This unit is about fractions, decimals, and percents, and they're all very closely related. You will need to know the things that you learned in the fractions unit to be successful in this unit. So very quickly, 1/2. The 1 is the numerator, the 2 is the denominator. 1/2 can also be thought of as 1 divided by 2. And if in your calculator you type in 1 divided by 2, you'll end up getting 0.5. So right here, we've gone from a fraction to a decimal. So fraction to a decimal. Now to change this decimal to a percent, the word percent means per 100. Percent, that's a little French thingy. So to turn this into a fraction, from a decimal to a percentage, all that we do is we take the decimal and we multiply it by 100. So if I take that and I multiply that by 100, we end up getting 50, and then we just put a little percent symbol. So now we've gone from a fraction to a decimal, and from a decimal to a percentage. Okay? Now, the next thing you have to do is go backwards. So if you had 60% and you want to change that to a fraction, the first thing we do is we write the numerator and we put it over 100. Done. Almost. Now we have to reduce this to its lowest terms, but we have converted the percentage to a fraction. Now to convert a percentage to a decimal, now we just take our fraction, we do the same thing we did here. We take our numerator and we divide it by the denominator. So on the calculator, you would type in 60 divided by 100, and that would be 60 divided by 100 is equal to 0.6. So we've now gone from a percentage to a fraction and from a percentage to a decimal. And for this one here, I forgot to reduce that. So we can divide the top and bottom both by 10. I can see that right away. So that will give me 6/10. But these are both even numbers, so I know I can divide each of those by 2. So that becomes 3/5. So 60% as a fraction in its lowest terms would be 3/5. And the last one is going from decimals. Let's try 0.35 to go from a decimal to a fraction. Well, to go to a fraction, the first thing that we do is we write whatever's after the decimal, we write that as our numerator. So 35. Our denominator, we start with a 1, and we need to put some zeros here. But to figure out how many zeros, we count how many digits there are after the decimal place. So here there's a decimal, and then there's 2 digits. So I add 2 zeros. So 0.35 is a decimal gone to a fraction is 35/100. And as we did up here, we then have to reduce that to lowest terms. I can see that I can divide this by 5 and I can divide that by 5, which is going to be 7/20. So 7/20 is 0.35 as a fraction in its lowest terms. What's the other one? We have to go from that to a percentage. To go to a percentage, all you do is you take your decimal, and again, it's a percentage per 100, so we just multiply that by 100. So if I take 0.35 and I multiply it by 100, I end up getting 35. 35, and then I just throw my percent symbol at the end, and I'm done. So those are all the different ways to convert decimals to fractions, fractions to percents, etc. So what I did was I prepared this page. This would be your math journal note, a modified version. So again, to go from a fraction to a decimal, you just take your numerator and you divide it by the denominator. So again, for example, if we take a fraction of, say, 3 over 6, all we do is we take 3, divide it by 6 on our calculator, and you'd get 0.5. For a fraction to a percent, we would do the exact same thing, but then we multiply it by 100. So again, if it was 3 over 6, we take 3 divided by 6 would equal 0.5. And then we take our 0.5 and we multiply that by 100, which would give us 50. And then we throw on our percent symbol at the end. To go from a decimal to a percent, we take our decimal and we just multiply it by 100 and add the decimal sign. So a decimal of 0.32, we just multiply that by 100, would give us 32, and we put on our percent symbol. Okay. Going from a decimal to a fraction, again, we count the amount of digits after the decimal. Then we write the digits as the numerator. The denominator is a 1, followed by the same number of digits after the decimal from number 1 above. Same number of zeros, followed by the same number of digits. I think I explained that. So one more time. If we have 0.6, we write our 6 as our numerator. Then we put a 1, and then we count after the decimal, there's 1 digit. So we put 1 0. So our final answer is that. Over here, if we had 0.736, we put 736 as our numerator. Put our line, we put a 1, and then we count how many digits there are. 1, 2, 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 736 over 1,000. And then this you'd be expected to reduce it to lowest terms. So because they're both even numbers, I know I can start by dividing by 2. Last but not least, percent to a decimal. All we do is we take our percentage and we divide it by 100. So if we had 96%, I just take 96, divide it by 100, and you would get 0.96. Oops, sorry, I just whacked the... And last but not least, a percent to a fraction. We take the percent and we divide it by 100. Sorry, we write it over the denominator 100, so percent to a fraction. So if it's 96%, we would write 96 over 100. That is the percent as a fraction. And then this, again, you have to reduce to its lowest terms. So hopefully this little note will help you if you need to do a screenshot or to take some time to copy that down for yourself. Hopefully that helps. Keep up the good work. And I'm going to be doing one more quick video as well, showing you how to find the percentage out of a specific number. Take care. We'll see you soon.